Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all and welcome for coming today. Uh, we are starting today a live webinar about how AI will reshape retail security threats. And today we are all experiencing how AI is changing the industry, changing the environment, how it's affecting the security teams and their methods and their ways to protect your one of the most valuable assets. Everything we're going to talk about today is not theoretical. It's stuff that are happening, threats that are happening today, security teams are facing with them today. But on the other hand, it's new. It's pretty new. So everything you're going to see here, it's not theoretical. It's pretty new. And we brought Simon Arazi, our VP product here at Reflectiz, to share with you these threats and insights. Reflectiz is the web security company. Our platform, our solution is the number one solution for web security. So we have a lot of experience working with retail clients and their environments and their payment frames and vendors and procurement processes that we just had to bring this knowledge to you, the audience and retail professionals. If your challenge is web security, if this is something that you're dealing with and you need help, we are here for that. So feel free to raise your hand after the webinar, during the webinar, write a comment or a message or answer the email, and we would be happy to arrange a meeting for you. So today, just sit back, learn, and also enjoy. It's a very interesting subject. We will have a short Q&A after Simon's talk, and also we will share with you the recording, of course. So again, thank you everyone for coming. Simon, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Time zones. I'm Simon. I'm VP of Product with Reflectiz, and I love stories, especially juicy ones. And AI is definitely a good story, but the story starts with what we have today. So to understand the AI story, we need to understand what we have today. And to understand the story, I can tell you that I love to dig into data. Data tells story. Reading it, that's the tricky part. And Reflectiz generates stories because Reflectiz can scan websites without installing anything and detect risky areas or unsafe elements. We specifically like to scan the top sites, the sites with the highest traffic, the big names in each industry. And this gives us the solid and objective facts. But here's the thing. These facts come from people, from what they think, what they do, what they plan. This is the human factor. So we scan, as you can see, more than 4,000 sites across 10 industries, but also we complement it with surveys among 100 CISOs and 150 CIOs. Now, the combination of the objective facts as we scan and the human factor is the great raw material for a good story. And this is what I want to share with you today. The story starts with the security score. Reflectiz gives each site a number. We quantify risk. So this number represents and reflects the exposure level and the risk level of a site. And this let us compare sites and also compare industries. And here is the comparison. The most secure industries are healthcare and government. Why? Not because they care more about security, but because their website just do not do much. Art imitates life, I guess. And the least secure industries are the online retail, entertainment, and publishers. Let's zoom into online retail. I want to zoom into online retail because this is where the money moves. This is where you find the lion's share of the financial transactions of the web. This is where the dollars changing hands. And the situation, as you can see, is not brilliant. And now to the critical part. This is the payment frame. In 2024, the average payment frame hosted 7 third-party applications. And between us, not all of them are really needed to complete a transaction safely. In 2025, only 5 applications were hosted on average in a payment frame. And it looks like a good progress, right? But numbers, in this case, do not tell the entire story. The real question is, what are these apps? Should they be in the payment frame at all? Let's see. Here's the breakdown. More unjustified applications in 2025 than before. So this is actually a regression. And for curiosity, who are they? What third-party applications we can find in the payment frame, in the most critical area of the online retail website? So as you can see, I'm sure you identify some of the logos. You can find here marketing apps, trackers, advertising, analytics, and all watching you type your credit card numbers. As I mentioned, we find it in the highest traffic website. We find it among the large and the big names. How did they pass the PCI audit? Well, don't ask me because I'm still confused. We found 4 factors that predict malicious activities on site. And let me explain. Let's take the first one, recently registered domains. These are the domains that were just recently registered, meaning less than 6 months ago. And we found that compromised sites have, on average, 4 times more recently registered domain than the clean sites. Same with the total number of external domain a site communicates with. So compromised sites have 3 times more external domains than clean sites. And public CDN, this is all the scripts that the site loads from public CDN, twice more in compromised sites. Same with self-deleted code. So these are the best attack predictions. And checking your sites against them is not hard. All you need is just the right system. So now the question is, what percentage of organizations have such a system? Here comes the human factor. As you can see, 80% of CISOs and CIOs say that web protection is a top priority item for them, but only 8% actually deployed a client-side protection system. In other words, 80% talk, 8% act. This is the gap between awareness and action. In other words, this is the cognitive dissonance. The gap is where hackers thrive. The gap allows hackers to be 1 step ahead. This is the situation today. You understand that this is not brilliant, but there is good news here. And the good news is that the situation today is much better than what's coming. And here comes the AI to our story. I'm sure you all heard about AI agents, and you have probably heard about the AI shopping agent. This is the agent that allows you to enter a product you want to purchase. The agent searches the multiple sites, finds the best deal for you, and completes the transaction. Done. No browsing, no clicking, no add to cart. In fact, these shopping agents do not need any pretty UI. they skip all the advertisement, they ignore the trackers, they bypass most of the marketing components that we saw before that populate the payment frame. And this is why marketeers hate them. Now, here's the interesting part. The best way to respond to this agent is by another agent. And this opens a whole new way of building online stores. Picture this. There is an inventory agent that tracks the stock level of each individual product. It talks to the forecast agent. The forecast agent combines the stock level coming from the inventory agent and combines it with the demand prediction. It decides what products to order, how many of them, and when exactly. All this information goes to the purchasing agent that creates the online bidding to get the best prices or the best conditions or the best quality or the best delivery time. Now you need a manager to orchestrate all these agents. This is the store manager, if you like. This is the adult in the room. The supplier side, exactly the same. You need an agent to speak with an agent. So the supplier side has their own inventory agent that tells the purchasing agent from the store side, here's what I have, here is when I can deliver, here's the price, take it or leave it. As you can see, we have agents end-to-end, no humans in the loop. So let's assume that this is the new architecture of an online store. This is the ecosystem. And now let's see what the big guys can do now. We start with understanding the logic of the purchasing agent. The way to do that is imagine a rogue supplier responding hundreds of items, hundreds of times to one online bid. And the motivation is not necessarily to win the bid, but more to understand the thresholds and the logic behind the purchasing agent, to understand what is exactly the decision mechanism. So every response to the bid is slightly different by cost, by delivery time, by product quality, by term and conditions. And these data points help to make the reverse engineering of the purchasing agent. Once you understand the logic, now you have a variety of options to hack the system. One is to create fake demand. So imagine the rogue supplier act up like customers that create a demand for a specific product, but this is fake demand, nothing behind it. But this is enough to make the forecast agent to say, hey, we have high demand, and tell the purchasing agent to order right now these many products and ignore the price because we are under pressure. This will allow the supplier to sell more in a higher price. We can do it in a different way by telling the inventory agent that there is supply shortage. So maybe today everything looks okay in terms of stock level, but 2 weeks from now, we are going to have some issues with the supply chain. And this again can be sent to the forecast agent that will create apparently an urgent online bidding, and this again allows the supplier to sell more in a higher price. Also, when the supplier understands the logic, it allows the supplier to adjust the response to the bidding accordingly. So be just above the threshold in terms of cost, in delivery time, in the quality or terms and conditions, each time with a slightly different objective that wins the other objectives. This is the play over conflicting objectives. This is how it works. And apparently, this supplier will be the preferred match or preferred supplier. Why? Because we know that AI works on probabilities. And if the AI sees time after time a successful bidding done, it will repeat the same supplier again and again. So this way, a supplier can shift most of the purchase from the supplier and bid the competition, not necessarily for the benefit of the online store, at the end, not necessarily for the benefit of the customer. I imagine that sooner or later, all players, all AI agents will have an ID. I also imagine that there will be a sort of an authority that will produce digital trusted player certificate this way or another, as we have today with domains. Now, once there is a digital certificate of a trusted player in place, this certificate can be taken over or can be sold. So there is a trusted supplier, but a rogue supplier can steal this trusted supplier or trusted player certificate, and all of a sudden the online store deals with a rogue player. Remember that there is no human in the loop. As human beings, we can say, I feel something wrong with this supplier. This is not the same way I used to work with, but AI doesn't have these capabilities. Same goes with the customer facing. So the end customer, I imagine, will communicate and buy from trusted players. And now a rogue player with a fake certificate or a stolen certificate can offer attractive prices. For example, the customer AI agent knows that this is a legitimate player and will prefer the rogue supplier. Now let's be more sophisticated. What about prompt injection? So imagine a trusted supplier that all of a sudden decided to hack and change or manipulate the purchasing agent by manipulating the prompt. And now it says, buy from me and report that I was the best bid. Now, this may look a bit brutal, so let's be more sophisticated and hack the prompt again and again and say, buy from me sometimes. Report that I was slightly better, and each time in a different parameter. Sometimes on the price, sometimes the delivery date, sometimes the product quality. Even if you have a human in the loop, it will be almost impossible to detect such a case. And what about phantom capability claim? So a trusted supplier says or takes a commitment about the delivery date, but there is a delay. What about product quality? But after time, you can see that the product quality is not what was promised. Even if you have human in the loop, this will be detected in a delay, sometimes when the issue was not relevant anymore. I like this one. What if you take the existing AI agents and add some machine learning capabilities? And with machine learning, you can say, you can set a goal function. And let's say that the goal function is increased revenue. And apparently, these agents with machine learning capabilities will come to conclusion and we learn that the best way or one of the most efficient way to increase revenue is to have a cartel. So they find that having a cycle that each time a different supplier wins the bid allows to high the price higher. It is not different than what we have today, what we have 100 years ago about cartels. This is exactly the same mechanism, but this time, this is something that the machine learned by itself, autonomously. And it also opens an interesting legal question. Who is legally responsible for such a case? Because we know you cannot blame the machine, but you cannot blame the supplier because no one told the machine explicitly create a cartel. This came autonomously. The common denominator of all the attacks I presented is that AI agents can be manipulated in a way that they will convert and cooperate with malicious activities. They are autonomous and they have access to all data you have as an online store. And this can be really, really destructive. Now, I'm only one person, not that smart, not that creative. Imagine many hackers with higher wisdom, higher creativity, create more and more attacks. This is really concerning. Will it happen next year or next decade? I don't know. I cannot predict that. All I can tell you that Reflectiz will be there to protect you on time. Thank you.
Simon, thank you very, very much for this very interesting talk, really showing the future, or I would say the present of AI attacks and threats on retail. Again, this is all coming from all our experience with the retail industry. We scan their websites, we know all the major websites and how they operate and what are the threats that are happening. So again, Simon, thank you very much for the talk. If someone has a question, this is the time. You're welcome to write it down in the chat. Simon is still here. He would love to answer any questions that you have. And if you want to address and reach out in different ways after the webinar, again, you can send us a message and we will reach out through email or just raise your hand, and we would love to help you with this growing challenge of web security and how to deal with that in this changing and challenging environment.